Here's Brody Brazil.
I want to go back to infrastructure since you mentioned it earlier and how it's scheduled to be paid for. Obviously, there will be an infrastructure financing district, but there's also a part that the city needs to accumulate funds from state and federal agencies, right, in terms of grants like you were talking about. And some of that money has been already, what's the right word, achieved?
Secured.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
See, that's why I asked. Some of it's been secured. Obviously, there's a hundreds of millions of dollars amount, which is ever changing, right, because of inflation and cost of construction. But there is a hundreds of millions of dollar total that the city right now is short on the infrastructure improvements. Is it just a matter that the A's and Oakland are both at the mercy of federal and state agencies that could give Oakland this money or could not? I mean, how does it go that a project is relying on those things, but nobody really has a clue of when and where and how much they might come through?
Yep. It is, I will say that's one of the more immediate, more transparent paths towards filling that gap is through the state and federal grants that we have applied for jointly in partnership with the A's and other stakeholders. It is something where, I think every major investment development project has this challenge of how you put the capital stack together in order to fully fund the project. And this is something that we are going through right now. Yes, we thought we were tens of millions of dollars away from our goal. And
Right.
with cost readjustments and assessments, that ends up being, $100 or so million away. And that's what we are working to secure to fill that gap in a way that allows us to not compromise the city's general fund, put taxpayer dollars at risk that are not, but for the project.
Right.
And so that's where, it's important that we continue to push on this path as well as other creative channels to help fill this gap.
And you know what? That was my next question. Obviously, you're not going to have the general fund pay towards the infrastructure improvements. Nobody wants that. But if it can't come from federal and state agencies and grants, are there creative options? Are there other ways to secure another $200 million hypothetically? I know that sounds crazy and that's a large amount of money. Are there, and you don't even have to mention what they are if there's some strategy behind it, but are there other ways to get this money if the federal and state agencies don't come through?
These are the discussions that we're having. And so there are some paths that we're pursuing,
Okay.
Not quite at the point to kind of go into
Sure.
detail, but
Sure.
we definitely have to look at additional ways that can complement what's happening here. And yeah, I look forward to digging in and really exploring those in a meaningful way.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in 2021, the A's original option or what they were trying to have happen was they wanted to have two IFDs and they wanted to take care of all the infrastructure from the top and not rely on federal or state grants. Would going back to that ever seem like a good idea and say that they're on the hook and you can pay them back like they had initially proposed?
So that hasn't been a path that we've been pursuing. And I think it's important to acknowledge their second IFD, this offsite infrastructure financing district, was predicated on the growth of property tax value for an area much larger than Jack London Square, that incorporated West Oakland.
Got it.
Parts of downtown, which we know are already on a growth path today. And so that would not be but for projects or but for revenues only created by Howard Terminal. But these are revenues that would grow and increase regardless of Howard Terminal moving forward or not. And so we need to separate really what additional increase in future tax revenues would really be due to the project versus all of the other investments and things that are happening in that urban core.
Got it.